It was a Friday evening in October 1972, when darkness quietly crept in the small, picturesque town of Maplewood. Under the amber glow of streetlights and the steady whisper of the autumn wind, families settled into their cozy homes, unaware that something unseen was stirring at the edge of town. The Engelhardts stood as the very image of the American dream. Charles Engelhardt, a self-made insurance tycoon, ruled his household with confidence and pride. His wife, Margaret, filled their grand home with polished furniture, crystal chandeliers, and extravagant dinner parties meant to impress. Their two children, always dressed in the brightest clothes money could buy, completed the picture of perfection. From the outside, the Engelhardts had everything. But beneath the surface, something rotten thrived. Pride and arrogance infected their lives like a silent disease. Their happiness depended on comparison, approval, and status. Dinner conversations revolved around who was winning in life and who was falling behind, whose children excelled, whose reputation mattered, and whose lives were worth mocking. Just a few blocks away lived the Kahlers, poor, aging, and forgotten by most of Maplewood. To the Engelhardts, they were nothing more than the help. Charles dismissed them openly, and the family often laughed at their misfortune, never imagining that appearances could deceive, or that consequences could linger. On one particularly crisp evening, Charles announced plans for a charity gala. It would be grand, polished, and public, an elegant disguise for generosity meant to quiet whispers about the Engelhardts' excess. "We need to impress," Charles said sharply, frustration lining his face. Margaret agreed and decided their garden would be the centerpiece of the event. To prepare it, she summoned Greta Kahler, frail, elderly, and struggling, to do the work for a meager sum. Sympathy never crossed Margaret's mind. "It's insulting," she scoffed, eyeing Greta's worn clothing. "I won't have weeds ruining our reputation." Greta worked quietly, her hands trembling but determined, offering only kindness in return for cruelty. That night, laughter echoed through the Engelhardt home, glasses clinked, and music played, but shadows danced beneath the joy. Across town, a different kind of storm gathered. Not one of thunder and rain, but something deeper, older. At midnight, as the Engelhardts slept comfortably in their luxury, darkness swallowed the moonlight. At the Kahler home, a visitor arrived, unseen, unnatural, whispering fate into the walls. Days passed. The Kahlers faded from conversation as easily as they had from compassion. Then the unease began. One morning, the Engelhardt family gathered for breakfast, laughter dissolving into silence as the newspaper landed on their doorstep. Mysterious deaths plague Maplewood. Families live in fear. The Kahlers were gone. Legends surfaced. Stories of restless spirits born from injustice, of divisions that left scars deeper than poverty. Charles scoffed. "Good riddance," he muttered. "People invent stories to excuse failure." But fear had already taken root. Misfortune followed the Engelhardts relentlessly. Accidents, illness, unpaid debts, whispers in the night. Their mansion no longer felt safe. The walls seemed to listen. One night, overwhelmed and trembling, Margaret fled to the garden. Beneath pale moonlight, a voice echoed in her mind. "Character is revealed in how you treat others." The shadows moved. They formed shapes, faces she recognized. The Kahlers stood before her, glowing with sorrow and truth. "You believed yourselves above us," Greta's voice whispered like dry leaves in the wind. "You mocked kindness and planted cruelty. Now you harvest what you sowed." Margaret ran to Charles, begging him to listen, but pride still blinded him. Soon, the town turned away from the Engelhardts. Compassion united the community around the Kahlers' memory, while the once-admired family stood alone. Their fortune collapsed. Their home emptied. Their reputation crumbled. Years later, Margaret returned to Greta's grave, whispering apologies into the cold air. But some lessons arrive only after the cost is paid. In their twilight years, wandering the hollow remains of what once was, the Engelhardts finally understood the truth they had ignored for so long. Kindness builds legacies. Arrogance destroys them. And as the wind passed through the abandoned halls, a final reminder echoed softly, "Treat others as you would want to be treated." Comment yes, if you agree.